Today we're going to talk about whether or not the Republican Party can win without the state of Texas. So I previously did a video asking whether or not the Democrats could win without the state of California, and I removed it from the electoral map. Both states actually which have previous heavy secession movements that actually could have made an impact a while ago. California not so much, but California currently has one, which is why it was a topic for discussion, and many people see these states as Democratic and Republican strongholds in California and Texas respectively. So again, when we talk about the state of Texas, this is an area that the Republicans definitely focus on when it comes to, they don't focus on it, but they definitely are able to win here, and these are areas that if they're losing here, they're losing in other states. But we're not talking about that type of scenario. We're talking about, let's say Texas is removed from the Union and it becomes a new country. Whatever happens to it doesn't really matter. They're just removed from the electoral map, and now we have a new type of electoral map. So what we see on our electoral map currently is we have 232 electoral votes for the Democrats. That was the margin that Hillary Clinton got back in 2016, and Donald Trump, of course, got 306 electoral votes. But if you deduct the state of Texas, right now we only have 268 electoral votes in the Trump column. So right now, if we did have this electoral map, 250 electoral votes would be a tie, and 251 would be needed to win. So right now we still have the Republicans winning, but it does not make it a large margin for them. So the question is, can Republicans win without Texas? Clearly they can win, but they also have to have the right candidate. Let's say they lose the Rust Belt. Okay, they need 251 electoral votes to win. Keep that in mind. The Democrats surpass the number they need. Democrats don't need Texas to win. They definitely do need California, but that's not the situation we're talking about. When we're talking about this, the Democrats don't need the state of Texas, and the Republicans do. Right now, they have surpassed the old magic number, I guess, of 270 and also 251. Let's say Trump or another candidate is able to hold on to Pennsylvania, then it narrows down, but the Democrats still win, okay? You would have to flip another state like Wisconsin or Michigan enough to put that in put the entire country in the Republican column. But again, Trump is that only candidate who could actually win in these Rust Belt states. Keep in mind, no other Republican candidate was able to win in a number of these states since the 80s. Keep that in mind. If these states weren't able to flip for any other Republican, and there were much stronger candidates than Donald Trump, it's just that Hillary Clinton and a combination of a number of factors, and Donald Trump being able to excite a working base that previous Republicans weren't able to excite, that made him seem like a good candidate. Yes, he's able to rally people very well, but he didn't win in these states by such large margins. It was just a political upset because he was able to win there. I'm not saying he's going to expand or decrease in his voting base, but when you take in another Republican, they're not going to have the same effect on these people. They're not going to be able to appeal to them the same way that Donald Trump was able to do. So Donald Trump is that one Republican who could actually win here. There are very few Republicans now, and none of which are probably going to run in 2024 or future elections that could win in the Rust Belt. So keep that in mind. But let's say the Rust Belt is gone for Republicans. But states like Colorado weren't really out of their grasp a couple years ago. In 2004 and 2000, they were able to carry a couple of these states, Nevada going to the Republican column, but that still doesn't put the Republicans ahead over the magic number, I guess, of 251, which means they would have to turn to other swing states like New Hampshire, and they would have to focus on states like Virginia. If they are able to win in these states, it pushes them over the top. But keep in mind, states like Virginia are going to hold their Democratic identity. States like Nevada and Colorado have become a little bit more partisan towards the Democratic Party, but New Hampshire is probably up for grabs. That's probably equally distributed amongst Republicans and Democrats, so that one's very much in play. But when we come to the Rust Belt, if Donald Trump's not running, then the Rust Belt's probably going blue. So the question is, can Republicans win here? Yes, but it has to be the right candidate. Again, right now, if they lose the Rust Belt, they're not going to win elections without the state of Texas. That was that key 38 electoral votes that put them over the top. Again, many more Democrats could win in a number of these states that Donald Trump won, whereas Donald Trump is the only one of 3 Republican candidates that could win in the Rust Belt, whereas the other 30 can't. And when we look at this map again, the electoral map definitely does help Democrats a lot more because they have a number of electoral votes in key population centers that are able to boost them over the top. States like Florida, which are toss-up states, what if that one goes to the Democrats? They could win to the Rust Belt. The Republicans could win there and still lose. A number of these states, they rely on heavily that have Republican bases, but keep in mind they still have Democratic voters. And when you take away key areas that the Republicans need, then they're not going to win. States like Texas, and, can't even click there. It's gone. And if you talk about a state like California, yes, I understand the argument, but let's say, for instance, we're not talking about that in this video, but you take away the side of California, that would reshape the electoral map, but let's still follow the 251 needed to win. You flip Wisconsin, you flip Michigan, you flip Pennsylvania, you flip New Hampshire. That puts the Democrats still over the top, even without California. Okay, even if you put California in the Republican column, the Republicans still don't win. So right now, with the Republicans winning in a state like California, the Republicans can still win in the Rust Belt. But any of these swing states flipping would ultimately they would lose. And the electoral map isn't really beneficial to Republicans. Again, when they have someone like Donald Trump, maybe it is. But let's say, God forbid, for the Republicans, they lose in a key swing state. They lose in Georgia. Okay, that puts them 2 electoral votes away from losing the presidency. A number of these states, if they flip, a number of other states are flipping. Texas being removed from the union is not beneficial to either the Democrats or the Republicans, because the Democrats are still at an even playing field, okay? The Republicans aren't. And when we look at the map, yes, it actually technically would be beneficial to the Democrats, but it's not going to be something that they're going to capitalize on. Taking away a state like California removes a number of voters from the popular vote and removes a number of people from the overall electoral map. And then when we're looking at this map, we would still have the Republican Party winning if they kept their 2016 margins, but they're probably not going to do that, considering a number of factors that have recently come into play. And also, again, capitalizing on this again for like the 8th time, Donald Trump is that one Republican who could win here. When it comes to other states, they have countless Democratic candidates that could win in the Rust Belt. Biden, okay? We go down this list, a number of Sanders, Warren if she plays her cards right, not really right now, Kamala Harris possibly, Hillary Clinton 2.0, a number of other Democrats that some that aren't even on this list could win in the Rust Belt. Whereas Republicans, they literally only have one candidate because they have the incumbent. But when they had an array of 17 candidates, only Donald Trump could have won in the Rust Belt. Okay, Ted Cruz wouldn't win in these states. Marco Rubio would not win in these states. John Kasich may be in Pennsylvania or Michigan, but not all 3 of the states, and not become competitive in Minnesota. So when we look at this map, again, Donald Trump is probably going to be the best candidate for the Republicans, but if you deduct Texas, then they're going to have a much harder electoral map, whereas the Democrats will still be on that playing field where, again, they can win. The Democrats have a much easier shot at the presidency taking away Texas or even taking away California, because the electoral map is definitely built in a favor that helps the Democrats, whether or not it was built that way or not. It was built to represent a number of the areas with heavy populations and smaller populations, but keep in mind, Republicans hold on to those smaller population areas a lot of the time, and that's what Texas was. It wasn't an area with necessarily small population, but it was just a state like South Dakota or Montana, just with a few more Democratic voters, and that added up to 38 electoral votes, enough to push Republicans over the top multiple times. Democrats have a real shot at carrying states like Florida or Michigan or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania. Republicans don't have a clear shot at winning in states like California or New York or Illinois. The areas that Republicans rely on in order to win elections are swing states. But when it comes to the Democratic voters, they just need to hold on to states that they've been holding for decades. That one time flipped in 2016, that just shows how the Democrats really can slide into each election. And when Democrats don't win, they really had a bad candidate, which is what we saw back in 2016. So I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. I hope you guys got the whole gist of the video, but you can comment down things below, questions that you might have when it pertains to the electoral map. In general, I'm going to revert this back to the 2016 map, back where we started in the beginning of this video. But if you guys have any questions about this video or any other videos, or have any suggestions for future videos, make sure to comment them down below. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you all tomorrow.